Welcome into this at-home edition of Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be spending some time talking about Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a couple of days now. You've had some time to think about it, let it marinate, right? We're going to get to my thoughts on what exactly that means for the Cincinnati Bengals, because obviously that is very, very significant NFL news, and it has a very, very significant impact on the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously going to have to deal with Aaron Rodgers at minimum 2 times this upcoming season here in 2025. But before we dive into that, make sure you guys hit that sub button for me if you haven't done so already. That's youtube.com/Bengals TV. We'll be here all off season long. Obviously, we got some mandatory minicamp stuff coming up. We'll have videos for you guys covering that. Obviously, training camp then around the corner, preseason. Before you know it, we'll be into the NFL regular season here in 2025. Don't miss out any of our content here at Bengals Breakdown. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, so it's very interesting. It kind of felt like for a while that it was only a matter of time before Aaron Rodgers ultimately did sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We did a video, I think, a couple of months ago, kind of detailing, hey, what this could possibly mean if he in fact did sign. And then this thing kind of dragged out, I think, a little bit longer, maybe a lot of bit longer than a lot of people expected, right? But it is Aaron Rodgers. He does things on his own time. He does it in his own way. And look, he has the right to do that. Considering the player that he is, the future Hall of Famer that he is, the Super Bowl champion that he is, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. Now, I think some people are probably have mixed emotions here as far as Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think a lot of people would say don't really care. He's washed, right? 41 years of age. Past 2 years in New York, obviously, the one was just a couple of snaps. Last year was kind of a disaster, and it kind of felt like the Jets were catering to him and doing everything that he could have possibly wanted, and the whole thing still kind of blew up in their face. So obviously the past 2 years in New York, not ideal for Aaron Rodgers, but I do think he's going to have a much better year, again, despite being 41, here in 2025 with Pittsburgh, if, of course, he can stay healthy. And, he's a guy, obviously 41 years of age, as I've said several times here already. If he takes some shots, I don't know if his body's going to be able to, react the same way as it did when he was winning MVPs, which was really only 4 or 5 years ago at this point, even a little bit less than that, to be completely honest with you. But look, when Aaron Rodgers is playing with a stable organization, he's a really good football player. That's what his career has suggested to this point. With Green Bay, incredible. The Jets, that's a tire fire of an organization. No stability there, and obviously we all dislike the Steelers a lot. You got to admit, it's a stable organization, right? Mike Tomlin's been well documented, all the winning seasons. Yeah, they go to the playoffs all the time. They don't win playoff games anymore, seemingly, but they have winning seasons. They go to the playoffs, and now they have a really good quarterback. The question is he a bit over the hill when it comes to his age? We'll have plenty more on Aaron Rodgers here in a second, but do want to get to the pinned comment of today's show. What is your one-word reaction to Aaron Rodgers signing a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of today's show. It felt like you got to give credit to Pittsburgh here because, they stuck with this, right? They could have kind of panicked off of this and said, it's getting late in the ball game. We need to bring in another quarterback. But they didn't. They stuck to it. They trusted the conversations that they had with Aaron Rodgers, and ultimately it pays off for them as he signed a couple of days ago. That quarterback room prior to the signing of Aaron Rodgers was the worst quarterback room in the National Football League. You're talking about Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and Will Howard, your sixth-round pick out of Ohio State. That is not a professional quarterback room. Now you throw Aaron Rodgers into the mix, and all of a sudden, they have a really viable football team once again. Let's be completely transparent here. Pittsburgh, as a football team, they got a lot of pieces, right? Obviously now DK Metcalf coming in as a receiver. They trade George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, but that defense is ferocious, and it has been for several years. Obviously, you got TJ Watt. He's kind of working through some stuff, but he'll be back and playing on the football field for Pittsburgh. And really, that whole defense has a lot of dudes on it. And the Bengals have had trouble scoring points against Pittsburgh. And I think, I'm kind of on the side here that this probably has more of an impact on Cincinnati than one might think. I honestly think this is bad news for Cincinnati that Aaron Rodgers ultimately is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I will be transparent and honest with you guys. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I have been for most of my life. I don't think anybody I've ever seen play the game throws a prettier ball than Aaron Rodgers. The question is he going to look anything like that MVP Aaron Rodgers that we saw a couple of years ago in Green Bay, or is it going to be even more of a decline than what we saw in New York? But the big issue here for Cincinnati is they're trying to play better in the AFC North, right? When they were going to the Super Bowl, going to the AFC Championship, that kind of success kind of started in terms of how they were playing in their division. Now you look at the way they've fared in their division over the past couple of years. You haven't beaten Baltimore in 2 years. Obviously, that's an issue. And Pittsburgh always seemingly gives you a fight. Sometimes they're able to get the win as well. You were able to close them out at the end of last year on the road, which was awesome, in the final game of the season. But Russell Wilson beat you earlier in the year at home. So the Bengals have had trouble against Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's played them really, really well. And now Mike Tomlin's got a good quarterback and Aaron Rodgers that can go out and play football for them. I have a little bit more in a second, but do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. Let you guys know that Bengals T-Shirt hoodies are on sale now. You can go get them, chatsports.com/Bengals Hoodie T-Shirt / we'll put that link in the comment section and the description of today's show. It is on sale. All right, so I think it's at least $20 off what it normally was going for, so make sure you guys check that out. It's pretty cool. It's basically a t-shirt, but it's got a little hood on the back as well. And again, best part about it all is it is on sale. So again, we'll put that link in the comment section and the description of today's show. I think now you have to understand Pittsburgh as a threat in the AFC North. I think I didn't really view them as a threat to win the division. You kind of were like, yeah, they'll be 500. Right, probably have a good start to the season, win games they probably shouldn't have. Mike Tomlin's going to win you a couple games by himself, right? Just the way he's going to outcoach the other football team and have his guys ready. He's always so good at motivating his players and making them feel disrespected in games in which they're underdogs, and he goes out and wins a couple of those seemingly year in and year out. But now I think you have to start having the conversation of, okay, this isn't just a two-horse race in the AFC North when you're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. You have to include Pittsburgh in this group now with the signing of Aaron Rodgers. One, because they're really so close to being a really, really good football team. They're just missing that quarterback position. Say what you want about Aaron Rodgers. This is the best quarterback that they have had since Big Ben retired, and there absolutely is no question about that whatsoever. Even at 41 years of age, this Aaron Rodgers is the best that they've had. And Mike Tomlin's probably sitting there licking his chops going, man, I've just needed a quarterback all these years since we lost Roethlisberger, and now I've got one here in Aaron Rodgers. So it's certainly an exciting time over in Steeler country. Who do you think wins the AFC North? It's a Bengals channel, so bias is fine. I totally get that, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section of today's show. CIN for the Cincinnati Bengals, BAL for the Baltimore Ravens, CLE for the Cleveland Browns. Don't think anybody's going to be typing that. Or PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me know what you guys think. Kind of round out today's show, Aaron Rodgers signing a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of days ago. I think more than anything, out of all the teams that this impacts in the NFL, I think it probably impacts Cincinnati more than anybody here. This signing with Aaron Rodgers, going to have to deal with him twice. And assuming he's able to stay healthy, and it's gonna be weird, right? Seeing Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. It felt weird seeing him in a Jets uniform, but then part of you was like, is this even real? This is kind of just a clown show. But he's kind of one of those guys where you just kind of think of him as a Green Bay Packer, and now obviously he's going to be playing for another historical franchise in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think the Cincinnati's going to have their work cut out for them. And I think when felt like this news was kind of inevitable, but now it's hitting, and you go, wow, our schedule just got a lot tougher here, having to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers team that has Aaron Rodgers at the helm. That'll do it for this at-home edition of Bengals Breakdown. Once again, make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. We will have you covered with plenty more Bengals videos to come, and we'll talk to you tomorrow here on Bengals Breakdown.